The judgment, which Kenyans have been waiting for with bated breath, was finally pronounced by Justice Grace Nzioka just a few moments before I came in to make this recording. And this is, of course, the very unfortunate case of the very brutal murder of Monica Kimani on 19th September 2018, which incidentally was slightly over 5 years ago. Now, of course, at the time I did very many videos on this topic right here on this channel. But it was today, the 9th of February 2024, that a verdict has finally come in over this very controversial case. A case that has all the ingredients of a spectacular Kenyan soap opera. Because there's a love story in it. There is a story of how somebody got rich very quickly. Everything is here. Of course, the most unfortunate thing in all this is that somebody's life was ended, and in a most brutal manner. And today, the family of the late Monica Kimani were in court to witness the verdict. 34-year-old Jacque Maribe Shiro walked into court along with Jowie Irungu, Jowie. But at the end of the reading of the 117-page judgment, they walked different directions. Jacque Maribe left all smiles, celebrating with her judicial team and getting a hug from her friend and close supporter, Dennis Itumbi. Yes, that Dennis Itumbi. Jowie, on the other hand, walked out with handcuffs, holding a Bible and his mobile phone, into custody to await the sentencing scheduled for March 8th this year. Maybe at this juncture, I need to tell you a story before I continue. There was a day when this channel was under serious attack, and one of the supporters of this channel came forward anonymously and started to engage me, and that anonymous person seemed to be very well connected. And after I explained to them what the trouble was, they promised to get back to me, although they were very doubtful and believed that my fears were unfounded. But they got back to me after a short while, and they confirmed my worst fears. However, somehow they were able to cool things off. And of course, I'll be forever grateful. Now, about a year later, quite by accident, I discovered the identity of that person who had been such a great help, a regular on this channel at the time and a supporter. I discovered their true identity, and I was more than shocked. Her name is Jacque Maribe. Oh yes. Now I have a feeling, of all this mess of this trial, and even the coverage this channel did of it, that those sentiments and support of this channel may not be the same today. And I totally understand. Anyway, there is much more to this Monica Kimani story than most Kenyans seem to realize. Indeed, 5 years is a long time, and many Kenyans have forgotten some important things linked to that trial. And were just very eager to condemn Joseph Irungu. Now, of course, I respect the verdict of the court. I respect our judiciary. Our judiciary, as Justice Grace Nzioka said at this trial, deserves all the support of Kenyans. I totally agree with that. Because without the judiciary, and without respect for the judiciary, then you can be sure we'll have no country left. However, What I'm about to say is my own opinion. And remember, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not trained in legal matters, but I'm a journalist. And this is my opinion based on what I know about this case. In my opinion, the very unfortunate demise of Monica Kimani was not a murder. It was an execution. Even the manner in which it was done, which was described very well in the judgment by Justice Grace Nzioka, clearly points to an execution. And therefore, in my opinion, the next question that must immediately come up and have a credible answer is, what was the motive? I believe that is a very important question that has to be answered in this particular case. Extremely important, because it will help anybody get to the truth. For those who are interested in the truth, not everybody is interested in the truth. Some people would never allow the truth to get in the way of a very juicy story. But for those of us very keen on the truth, the lawyers of Joseph Irungu, Jowie, did him a great disservice by not introducing or not focusing on a certain area of this case that I believe may have made a huge difference even in the judgment. And I'll come to that in a minute. I just want to give you a heads up that for my docuseries, How to Survive or Even Prosper in Hard Times, I have a very special offer that is valid only for the next 24 hours. It expires on Saturday at midnight. No extensions, because this is a very, very special offer. If you are able to meet the deadline, you will be able to get this amazing, very informative, valuable information, which includes a video over 1 hour long, full of instructions, ideas, gimmicks, real case studies, as well as 3 eBooks. You'll be able to get the entire package for only $19, or Kenya shillings 2,999. So please take action quickly. You can see details on your screens right now. Please take action quickly, right away, to avoid disappointment. This is information that all of us should have, very valuable, to help us prepare for what is coming. And it is very useful both for the person who's already down and out, no source of income, as well as the person who is doing well right now. Yeah, because things are changing very fast. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? And since you and I do not know, the best option is to prepare. Yeah, and this valuable information helps you to be very ready for anything, and especially what is coming. Right. If I had had access to Jowie's legal team, I would have strongly recommended that they focus on what Monica Kimani used to do to earn a living, or rather, what got Monica Kimani so wealthy. You see, the late Miss Kimani used to work in South Sudan, and we were given a few conflicting stories about what she used to do exactly. But we know she was very wealthy. Now, in case you're still lost, I've already done a video on this subject, very comprehensive, which I believe I did in 2018. I will leave a link in the description area. Yeah, catch up with it, and then you'll be totally up to speed. But for now, let me just summarize it like this. Alikuwa anabebea wakubwa pesa, and also managing the properties of senior people, businessmen, politicians from South Sudan. Now, in case you still don't realize it yet, this is a very, very dangerous job. And let me give you a little evidence to prove what I'm saying. At around the same time, KTN did a documentary on the plunder of South Sudan, which focused on how corruption money, dirty money from South Sudan, is laundered in Kenya, is invested in Kenya. Now, you know KTN is one of the bravest media houses we have around, and they have a long track record to prove it. But guess what happened? They advertised this particular documentary, and then at the last minute, they cancelled it. They chickened out of airing it. Let me give you another piece of information. These Wakubwa of Sudan, with the residences in Kenya, some of them have their houses guarded by the Kenya police. And these are not diplomats. These are not special people. They're just ordinary South Sudanese. Or maybe not so ordinary, because of the kind of money they handle. And please be very careful not to ask too much what the source of that money is. Anyway, had Jowie's lawyers focused on that area, it may have been easier to convince the judge of another possible, very possible suspect who would have pulled this off. Because I strongly suspect that Jowie, with all his weaknesses, was the victim of an elaborate setup. I'm not saying he did not commit any crime, because he was at the scene of the crime. But what I'm saying, whatever he was there to do, it was not the murder, very brutal, of the late Monica Kimani. That one, personally, I do not believe. And I'm sorry if I've burst your bubble, because Kenyans are very quick to jump to conclusions, very quick to swallow a narrative, hook, line and sinker. In my opinion, Joseph Irungu does not have the training, which in this case is very high-level military training, to have executed the execution, let alone having a plausible motive. You know, sometimes life can be very cruel to you. You can end up at the wrong place at the wrong time. And at the end of it all, the consequences can be fatal. And even worse, I have no idea how Jacque Maribe ended up on the stand as the second accused. I believe with good expert legal representation right from day one, this may never have happened. And this illustrates once again why it is a good idea not to give a statement without a lawyer present, especially if you're innocent, because you could easily incriminate yourself into something you have no idea about. It is just common sense. It is just a good idea. What was Joseph Irungu's mistake? Being too desperate to belong, because he has never joined the military. He has never received military training. But he was always talking about being undercover, whatever that means in private security, because I have no idea. But to the public, it is an impressive story. It implies you're working chini ya maji, behind the scenes. Very impressive. And one day it works perfectly when you're set up to suggest that you belong to that level of military and people have received military training, while this is not true. In other words, you end up cooking yourself with your own words that came out of your own mouth, or words that stretch the truth too much so that it is dangerously close, or next to lies. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.